The massive alien warship hung in space like a dark cloud over Earth's orbital defense station. Admiral Smith of the Earth Defense Force stood at the viewing window, his weathered face reflecting off the reinforced glass as he studied the vessel. It was unlike anything humans had ever encountered, nearly 5 miles long, covered in what appeared to be living metal that shifted and rippled like waves on an ocean. "They're hailing us again, sir," Lieutenant Jones reported from her communication station. "The Dominion Fleet Commander is becoming insistent." Smith nodded slowly, his gray eyes never leaving the alien vessel. Humanity had only achieved faster-than-light travel 30 years ago, and in that time they'd colonized a handful of nearby systems. They'd known they weren't alone, radio signals and ruins on distant worlds proved that. But this was humanity's first contact with a living alien civilization, and it wasn't going well. The Dominion, as they called themselves, had arrived 3 days ago with a simple message: Earth and its colonies were now under their protection and rule. Their representative, who called himself the voice of authority, had been stunned when Smith and the Earth government refused. "Put them through," Smith ordered, turning to face the main view screen. The alien that appeared was tall and spindly, with iridescent scales covering its elongated head. Multiple eyes blinked in sequence as it regarded the human admiral. "Your continued defiance is puzzling," the voice of authority said, its translator converting the clicking speech into English. "We offer you protection, order, purpose. Yet you refuse to accept your place in the greater galaxy." Smith clasped his hands behind his back. "We appreciate the offer, but humanity has no interest in becoming a protectorate. We're doing fine on our own." The alien scales shifted color slightly, a sign of either amusement or irritation, Smith wasn't sure which. "You misunderstand, Admiral. This is not an offer. The Dominion has ruled this sector for 10,000 of your years. Your species' emergence has created disorder. This disorder will be corrected." "Is that a threat?" Smith asked quietly. "Merely a statement of fact. You have one of your Earth hours to reconsider. After that, we will be forced to demonstrate why resistance is inadvisable." The transmission cut off. Smith turned to his tactical officer. "Status of the evacuation?" "Civilian ships are at 89% cleared from low orbit, sir. The last transports should be away in 40 minutes. "And our fleet?" "Battle Groups 2 through 5 are in position behind Luna. Battle Group 1 is standing by." Smith allowed himself a small smile. The Dominion had no idea what they were about to face. They'd clearly expected humanity to be an easy conquest, a primitive species barely able to reach nearby stars. They didn't know about the quantum targeting systems, the dark matter drives, or the antimatter warheads. Most importantly, they didn't know about the von Neumann automated shipyards humanity had been running at full capacity for the last 20 years. "Send word to all ships," Smith ordered. "Prepare to execute Operation Thunderbolt on my mark. Let's show these Galactic Overlords exactly what a human fleet looks like." As he spoke, sensors began picking up hundreds of ships emerging from behind Earth's moon, sleek, aggressive vessels bristling with weapons humanity's would-be conquerors had never seen before. The real surprise wasn't just their number or their technology, it was the fact that this was merely the first wave. The hour of decision was approaching, and humanity was ready to fight for its freedom. The Dominion was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating the youngest spacefaring race in the galaxy. The voice of authority stared at his sensor displays in disbelief. Where moments ago there had been only a handful of primitive human warships, now hundreds of vessels were emerging from behind Earth's moon. Their design was unlike anything in the Dominion's database, angular, predatory shapes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Impossible," he muttered, his scales shifting to a pale green of confusion. Their technological level was assessed at barely interstellar. "These readings cannot be correct." His second-in-command, Sub-Voice Reed, approached with more disturbing news. "Sir, we're detecting energy signatures we've never encountered before. And the human vessels, they're moving in perfect coordination. Our tactical computers can't predict their attack patterns." Before the voice could respond, Admiral Smith's face appeared on their main screen. The human's expression was calm, almost sympathetic. "Your hour isn't up yet, but since you're scanning us, I assume you've noticed our fleet. I'm offering you a chance to withdraw. No one needs to die today." The voice's scales flushed deep red with anger. "You dare to threaten the Dominion? We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our shields." Smith shook his head. "Those aren't the words of someone who's studied human history. When threatened, we don't just fight, we innovate. For 20 years, we've been preparing for this moment. Not because we knew about you specifically, but because we knew someone like you would come." The voice cut the transmission with a gesture of contempt. "Launch fighters. Target their command ship. Show these humans the price of defiance." The Dominion's flagship released a swarm of dart-shaped fighters, their crystalline hulls gleaming in the sunlight. They accelerated toward the human fleet, weapons charging. And then space itself seemed to twist. The human ships had activated their dark matter drives, bending the fabric of reality around them. To the Dominion's horror, their carefully coordinated fighter attack passed harmlessly through empty space where the human vessels had been a split second before. "New contact!" Reed shouted. "They're behind Dash." The first salvo of human antimatter torpedoes struck the Dominion's fighter screen. There were no explosions, just silent flashes of light as matter and antimatter annihilated each other, creating tiny, artificial stars that consumed everything within their radius. In the Earth Defense Force Command Center, Smith watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Concentrate fire on their support vessels. Let's show them what happens when you corner humanity." The human fleet moved like a single organism, decades of AI-assisted training evident in every maneuver. Quantum-linked targeting systems meant that every ship knew exactly where its allies would fire, allowing for complex attack patterns that would have been impossible to coordinate otherwise. The Dominion's mighty flagship, for the first time in its centuries of service, rocked with direct hits. Their supposedly impenetrable shields, designed to stop plasma weapons and energy beams, proved useless against weapons that distorted space itself. "Shields failing," Reed reported, panic evident even through the translator. "Their weapons, they're not in any of our databases. How can they have technology we've never even theorized?" The voice of authority gripped his command chair as another blast shook the ship. His scales had turned almost white, a sign of pure shock. In 10,000 years of Dominion rule, no species had ever mounted such effective resistance, let alone one that had barely achieved space flight. "All ships, fall back to secondary positions," he ordered. "Send word to the High Command. The humans are not what we thought they were." As the Dominion fleet retreated in disarray, Smith allowed himself a small sigh of relief. But he knew this was just the beginning. The Dominion wouldn't take this humiliation lightly, and next time they'd come with a far larger force. But that was exactly what humanity had been counting on. Because the ships they'd seen today? They weren't humanity's main fleet. They weren't even close. 3 days after the first battle, the mood in the Earth Defense Force headquarters was tense but focused. Admiral Smith stood before a holographic display showing hundreds of red dots moving toward the solar system, the Dominion's response fleet. "They'll arrive in 48 hours, General Roberts reported, his weathered face illuminated by the hologram's glow. "Long-range scans show over 2,000 ships. They're not taking any chances this time." Smith nodded, studying the tactical display. "And Project Phoenix?" "Ready for deployment, sir." The automated shipyards in the asteroid belt have been running at maximum capacity since the first encounter. The AI networks are synchronized, and all ships are combat-ready. On one of the secondary screens, footage played from a hidden camera array in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Massive industrial complexes floated in the void, their robotic arms assembling warships at an impossible rate. What had taken humanity decades to build in secret was about to be revealed. Status of the evacuation? Smith asked. All civilian population centers on Earth and Mars are now underground, Lieutenant Jones reported. The lunar bases are at full defensive readiness, and the quantum shelters are operating at peak efficiency. Smith allowed himself a grim smile. The Dominion thought they were dealing with a handful of colonies and a single heavily populated homeworld. They had no idea that humanity had spent the last 20 years hollowing out moons and asteroids, creating vast underground cities and military installations throughout the solar system. In high orbit above Jupiter, hidden beneath the gas giant's radiation belts, humanity's true fleet waited. Not hundreds of ships, but thousands. Each vessel was controlled by a combination of human crews and advanced AI systems, allowing them to coordinate on a level that the Dominion's hierarchical command structure could never match. Message from the Dominion flagship, Sir, Jones announced. They're demanding our immediate surrender. They say they'll spare Earth if we submit now. Send them our response, Smith ordered. Just as we planned. The message was simple, a complete technical readout of the Dominion vessel that had retreated 3 days ago, including detailed scans of their supposedly secret technologies. It was humanity's way of saying, we've already learned everything about you. In the Dominion flagship, the voice of authority received the transmission with increasing horror. His scales shifted through multiple colors as he realized the implications. These humans hadn't just defeated his ships, they'd analyzed and understood Dominion technology in a matter of days. High Command is demanding an update, Reed reported nervously. They want to know if the invasion fleet is sufficient. Before the voice could respond, new alerts blared across their sensor screens. Massive energy signatures were appearing throughout the solar system. The humans' hidden shipyards were activating, revealing themselves as they began launching vessels. But it was the ships themselves that caused the voice's scales to turn pure white with shock. Each human vessel was different from the last, they were learning, evolving. The automated factories weren't just producing copies, they were improving the designs in real time based on the data from the first battle. This wasn't just a fleet, it was a constantly evolving defensive system. Send word to High Command, the voice whispered. The humans, they haven't been building a fleet. They've been building an adaptive defense network. Their entire solar system is one interconnected weapons platform. As if to emphasize his point, the quantum sensors detected something massive stirring in Jupiter's orbit. The humans' true fleet was emerging, their dark matter drives creating ripples in spacetime that the Dominion sensors could barely comprehend. In Earth Defense Force headquarters, Smith watched as humanity's full military might revealed itself. All ships, battle stations. Initialize the quantum network. Show them what happens when you give humanity time to prepare. The real battle for Earth was about to begin, and the Dominion was about to learn why every alien civilization that had ever scanned Earth had detected the same warning sign, a planet with far too many nuclear weapons, showing a species that had spent its entire history preparing for war. Space itself seemed to burn as the two fleets clashed between Mars and Jupiter. The Dominion's 2,000 ships, arranged in their traditional arrow formation, found themselves facing not just the human fleet but an entire solar system that had been turned into a weapon. Multiple quantum signatures detected. Reed shouted as the battle began. The humans are using the asteroid belt as dash. His warning came too late. The seemingly random chunks of rock and ice in the asteroid belt revealed themselves as carefully positioned weapons platforms. Antimatter beams lanced out from hidden bases, catching several Dominion ships in devastating crossfire. The voice of authority watched in growing horror as his carefully planned assault fell into chaos. The human vessels moved in ways that defied traditional space combat doctrine, their AI-assisted crews reacting faster than any organic pilot could manage. Worse, with each passing minute, their tactics were evolving. "Sir," Reed reported, his scales a sickly gray, "their ships are sharing combat data in real time. Each time we destroy one, the others immediately adapt their shields and tactics to prevent the same method from working twice." In the Earth Defense Force Command Center, Smith and his officers coordinated humanity's response. The quantum network linked every ship, every weapons platform, and every sensor array into a single, unified defense system. It was the culmination of 20 years of preparation, driven by humanity's greatest strength, their paranoia about what waited for them in the stars. "Battle Group 7, execute Maneuver Theta," Smith ordered. "Draw them toward the Jupiter defense grid." The human ships pulled back in apparent retreat, leading a portion of the Dominion fleet toward the gas giant. The alien vessels, eager to press their advantage, followed closely, directly into humanity's trap. Jupiter's dozens of moons, which the Dominion had dismissed as lifeless rocks, suddenly revealed their true nature. Massive cannons emerged from hidden bases on Ganymede and Callisto. The radiation belts that had hidden the human fleet now powered enormous electromagnetic weapons that turned the very magnetosphere of Jupiter into a weapon. "Impossible," the voice raged as a third of his fleet vanished in a series of perfectly coordinated strikes. "No species could have built all this in secret. No race could advance this quickly." But humanity had done exactly that. Ever since they'd first split the atom, humans had been preparing for apocalyptic war. The Cold War had never really ended, it had just moved into space. Every colony, every mining operation, every scientific outpost had been built with military applications in mind. The automated factories in the asteroid belt continued their work even during the battle, launching new ships with improved designs based on real-time combat data. The human fleet wasn't just fighting the Dominion, it was learning from them, adapting, evolving. "Sir," Jones reported to Smith, "the quantum network is detecting attempts to breach our communications. The Dominion is trying to hack our command and control systems." Smith allowed himself a small chuckle. "Let them try. Show them what happens when they connect to our networks." The moment the Dominion's cyber warfare suites made contact with the human quantum network, they were overwhelmed. Humanity's AIs, built to be aggressive and paranoid just like their creators, turned the attack back on the alien fleet. Dominion ships began losing power as their computer systems were overwhelmed by attacks they'd never conceived possible. "All ships, press the advantage," Smith ordered. "Show them no quarter. The future of our species depends on this battle." The voice of authority watched helplessly as his mighty fleet was systematically torn apart by an enemy that seemed to grow stronger with each passing moment. The humans weren't just winning, they were advancing their technology and tactics in the middle of combat. "Send the signal," he finally ordered, his scales now completely white. "Initiate emergency temporal retreat. We must warn High Command, warn them about what humanity truly is." As the surviving Dominion ships began their retreat, Smith allowed himself to breathe easier. But he knew this was far from over. The Dominion would be back, and next time they would bring everything they had. But that was exactly what humanity had been counting on. Because now they had something even more valuable than victory, they had captured Dominion technology to study, analyze, and improve upon. In the aftermath of the battle, the space between Mars and Jupiter was littered with the wreckage of Dominion ships. Earth's automated salvage drones swarmed over the debris, gathering technology and materials that would make humanity even stronger. Admiral Smith stood in the lunar observation deck, watching as captured Dominion vessels were towed toward the research facilities hidden beneath the moon's surface. The victory had been decisive, but the cost had been significant: 300 human ships destroyed, thousands of crew members lost. "Sir," Lieutenant Jones approached with a data tablet, "we've decoded some of the Dominion's secure transmissions. You need to see this." The decoded messages revealed the true scale of what humanity faced. The Dominion controlled over 30,000 star systems. The fleet they'd just defeated was less than 1% of their total military strength. But that wasn't what caught Smith's attention. "They're afraid," he said, reading through the panicked reports sent to the Dominion High Command. "Not just of our technology, but of how quickly we develop it." In the Dominion's capital system, 12,000 light-years from Earth, the High Command was in chaos. The voice of authority stood before the Council of Voices, his scales still white with shock as he delivered his report. "The humans are unlike anything we've encountered," he explained. "They don't just adapt, they thrive on conflict. Every engagement makes them stronger. They've turned their entire solar system into an interconnected war machine." The Supreme Voice, leader of the Dominion for 3 centuries, leaned forward on his crystalline throne. "Explain how a primitive species achieved this level of advancement without our detection." They were never primitive," the voice replied. "What we mistook for technological backwardness was deliberate deception. They knew someone would come. They spent their entire spacefaring history preparing for war. Back in the solar system, humanity was preparing for the inevitable counterattack. The automated shipyards had already incorporated captured Dominion technology into their designs. New vessels emerged from the asteroid belt factories, combining human innovation with alien tech in ways the Dominion had never imagined possible. In a secure facility beneath the Martian surface, General Roberts oversaw the analysis of captured Dominion databases. What they found was both troubling and promising. The Dominion's biggest weakness, he reported to Smith via quantum link, is their rigid thinking. They haven't faced a real challenge in thousands of years. Their technology is advanced, but they stopped innovating centuries ago. Smith nodded. And now they face a species that never stopped preparing for war, that treats every defeat as a learning opportunity, and that can advance their technology in weeks rather than centuries. The quantum sensors throughout the solar system were already detecting signs of massive fleet movements in distant space. The Dominion was mobilizing everything they had. Next time, they would come with tens of thousands of ships. But humanity wasn't standing still. The captured Dominion ships had revealed the secrets of their faster-than-light communication network. Human tech experts and AIs were already working to hack into it, planning to turn the Dominion's own command and control systems against them. "Message from the President, Sir," Jones announced. "Project Ragnarok has been authorized." Smith's expression turned grim. Project Ragnarok was humanity's ultimate contingency plan, a weapon so powerful that even its existence had been kept secret from most of Earth's military leadership. "Begin the preparation sequence," he ordered. "And send word to all colonies and outposts. The real war is about to begin." As he spoke, deep within Mercury's core, ancient machines that humanity had spent decades building began to power up. The Dominion thought they had seen humanity's full military might. They had no idea that the solar system itself was about to become a weapon. The sun was dying. Or at least, that's what the Dominion sensors told them as their massive armada of 50,000 ships approached the solar system. The star's energy output was fluctuating in ways their scientists couldn't explain, and Mercury, the closest planet to the Sun, had somehow vanished. "Impossible," the Supreme Voice muttered, watching the sensor feeds from his command ship. "They couldn't have, no species would be insane enough." But humanity had done exactly what the Dominion feared. Project Ragnarok, humanity's ultimate weapon, wasn't a fleet or a bomb, it was the complete conversion of Mercury into a massive solar engineering system. In the Earth Defense Force Command Center, Admiral Smith watched as the massive Dominion fleet approached. Their numbers were overwhelming, but humanity had planned for this moment for decades. "Status of Project Ragnarok?" he asked. General Roberts checked the quantum feeds from the solar monitoring stations. Mercury conversion is at 98%. The stellar manipulation grid is online. We can initiate the sequence on your command. The plan was audacious beyond anything the Dominion could have imagined. Humanity had turned Mercury into a vast machine designed to temporarily alter the Sun's magnetic field, creating a controlled solar flare of unprecedented magnitude. It was a weapon that could only be used once, and would change the solar system forever. Message from the Dominion fleet, Lieutenant Jones reported. The Supreme Voice himself is addressing us. The alien leader appeared on the main screen, his ornate robes and crystalline crown marking his status. Humans, he began, your resistance has been impressive, but ultimately futile. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Resist, and we will reduce your worlds to ash. Smith smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. Supreme Voice, I want you to understand something. Humanity hasn't survived this long by being merciful. We've survived by being paranoid, by preparing for the worst, by being willing to do whatever it takes. You dare threaten us? We have 50,000 ships. We could glass your entire system. Look at your sensor readings, Smith replied calmly. Look at what we've done to Mercury. Ask yourself, what kind of species would turn an entire planet into a weapon? What kind of people would risk their own star to achieve victory? For the first time in the Supreme Voice's long life, he felt true fear. The human wasn't bluffing, their sensors confirmed that Mercury hadn't been destroyed, it had been transformed. The entire planet was now a machine of unimaginable power, integrated into the quantum network that controlled humanity's defenses. You wouldn't, the Supreme Voice whispered. You'd destroy your own system. We've already evacuated our population into hardened shelters. Our ships are equipped with radiation shielding beyond anything you've imagined. We've spent 20 years preparing for this exact moment. Smith's voice was steady. The question is, are you prepared to lose your entire fleet to find out if we're bluffing? In that moment, the Supreme Voice realized the terrible truth. The Dominion had ruled through fear for 10,000 years, but they'd never encountered a species that had turned their fear into a weapon. The humans hadn't just prepared for war, they'd prepared to win at any cost. Project Ragnarok is ready, Roberts announced. Stellar manipulation grid at full power. We can initiate on your command. Smith kept his eyes locked on the Supreme Voice's image. You have 1 hour to retreat. Not just from this system, but from every human colony. After that, we'll show you exactly what humanity is capable of when pushed too far. The quantum sensors detected movement. The Dominion fleet was beginning to turn, their perfectly ordered formations breaking apart in their haste to retreat. They're running, Jones reported, disbelief in her voice. Of course they are, Smith replied. They finally understand what they're dealing with. The Dominion thought they were the most powerful force in the galaxy because they had the biggest fleet. We showed them something far more terrifying, a species willing to risk everything to remain free. As the Dominion fleet fled in disarray, the machines built into Mercury's core continued their work, ready to unleash a weapon that would make the galaxy remember why you should never corner humanity. 1 month after the Dominion's retreat, representatives from every major galactic power gathered in Earth's orbital diplomatic station. The station's observation deck offered a clear view of both the restored Sun and the transformed Mercury, now a permanent testament to humanity's determination. Admiral Smith stood before the assembled alien diplomats, his dress uniform adorned with the newly created Star Defense Medal. Behind him, a holographic display showed the extent of human space, no longer just a handful of colonies, but now including every system the Dominion had abandoned in their rush to escape Project Ragnarok. The terms are simple, Smith explained to the gathered representatives. Humanity claims all former Dominion territory within 50 light-years of our current colonies. In exchange, we'll share some of our defensive technologies with peaceful species who wish to protect themselves from future aggression. The alien diplomats murmured among themselves. The human offer was unprecedented, not just their willingness to share technology, but the fact that they weren't demanding more territory after such a decisive victory. There is something we don't understand, one of the alien delegates, a peaceful race that had suffered under Dominion rule, spoke up. You had the power to destroy their entire fleet. Why show mercy? Smith's expression softened slightly. Because humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to learn from history. Every war we've fought has taught us that true peace comes not from destruction, but from building something better afterward. In the Dominion's former territory, human ships were already helping former slave species reclaim their homeworlds. The automated factories that had built humanity's fleet were being repurposed to create infrastructure and defensive systems for worlds that had never known true freedom. Message from the President, Sir, Lieutenant Jones reported quietly. Project Phoenix has been approved. Smith nodded. Project Phoenix was the opposite of Ragnarok, a plan to turn humanity's war-making capability toward peaceful expansion and protection of younger species. The same automated factories that had built warships would now construct research vessels and defensive platforms for any world that wanted to remain free. There's one more thing, Smith addressed the delegates. We've established a new organization, the Solar Defense Initiative. Any species that wishes to join will receive not just our protection, but training in how to protect themselves. We believe every sentient race has the right to determine their own destiny. The Supreme Voice, now serving as a simple delegate from a much diminished Dominion, watched with a mix of fear and fascination. His scales, once brilliant with pride, had permanently shifted to a more subdued hue. You could have destroyed us, he said quietly to Smith after the main meeting. Why didn't you? Because that's the difference between the Dominion and humanity, Smith replied. You built an empire through fear. We're building an alliance through hope. Your mistake wasn't just attacking us, it was assuming that a species' worth is measured only by its age or the size of its fleet. As the delegates departed, Smith returned to the observation deck. The quantum network that had defended Earth now extended throughout human space, but its purpose had changed. Instead of just detecting threats, it now helped coordinate humanitarian aid and scientific research. Incoming transmission from Mars Command, Jones announced. The first group of alien students has arrived at the Defense Academy. They're ready to learn how to protect their own worlds. Smith smiled as he watched ships from dozens of species moving peacefully through the solar system. Humanity had prepared for war for so long that they'd become incredibly good at it. But their real victory wasn't in defeating the Dominion, it was in showing the galaxy a better way forward. The transformed Mercury continued its eternal orbit, no longer a weapon but a reminder. It stood as a monument to what humanity was capable of when threatened, but also to their wisdom in choosing peace when possible. The galaxy had learned not just to fear human ingenuity, but to admire their capacity for both war and peace. Because in the end, humanity's greatest achievement wasn't building the most powerful fleet in the galaxy, it was knowing when not to use it.